can't handle the truth.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Saturday night cell block. How is everybody doing tonight? Thank you all for joining in. Again, I pray that everybody's safe and sound, that they're warm, they're around comfort. If you can, please, like I say, we got a raffle going on. Please go to www.cominghomecoalition.com. Check out Project Safety First. What is it? Yeah. So Project First. Okay. Anyhow, I'm not getting no help from my co-host over there. So please go check it out, see what we got going on. But forgive me, I'm a little razzled tonight. I'm all over the place. And I am going to introduce my guest tonight. Tonight I've been sitting here talking to Ryan for the last 30 minutes here. And I'm just blown away by this guy's story. So I'm gonna bring him in. It's gonna be a long story. It's a very emotional story, and I want you guys to pay attention to, again, these are the issues in America, right? And this is going on in all our communities, all our areas. We're all dealing with it, and if it hasn't touched our family personally, I know it's touched mine personally. It's touched Ryan's personally, others that I've had on the show, and if it hasn't touched your family yet, it will soon. So these discussions are very important. They're a must hear, and this is why I'm bringing Ryan on. So I will be switching over now, introducing Mr. Ryan. Ryan, how you doing, partner?
Doing wrong.
Man, I'm blessed, man. You know, one thing, I'm down here in the warm weather, so that's a blessing.
It's a blessing. Yeah, I'm not that fortunate, but still blessed to be here, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, no question. So we're gonna talk a little bit about who you are tonight,
Yep.
and what you've been experiencing and the fight that you got going on in your life personally as well. So go ahead and let the listener know a little bit of who you are.
So yeah, my name's Ryan Wallace. I was born in Philadelphia. I'm raised in Massachusetts, and I'm the youngest. Three three boys that all all addicts, all victims of, not victims per se, but all been through the system, all been through the struggle, and my family's seen a lot of addiction and been through a lot of things. So, and I've seen my older brothers go through a lot of it, a lot harder than me. I more so went the criminal route. I ended up doing 7 years, split like 3 months out, 4.5, and then about two, good time, whatever. And so yeah, during that time, while I was incarcerated for the second time, my brother Sean was relapsed. He had relapsed. He had been clean for 5 years. He's good tax-paying citizen. Did everything he's supposed to, and but he was an addict. He had some demons, and he unfortunately relapsed, and he was in a halfway house out in Western Mass out here, and he had probation going on, and he picked up a shoplifting charge, and he violated probation. So my father been sober 40 years. He's well involved in he's been bringing people to rehabs for as long as I can remember. I've had a drunk, an addict on the couch waiting to get, for my father to bring him into detox the next day. You know what I mean? Like it's like he's got connections. He's known to be able to get things done, and he had a bed for Sean, at a halfway house. And Sean had been on methadone. He was on 180 milligrams of methadone, which is a very high dose of methadone.
Mm.
And if you don't know about methadone, the detox from it is extremely like painful. It's mental. It's you hallucinate. I haven't been through personally. I've seen people go through it, and I've just And he had been through it a couple times, and so like so he ended up getting brought to Barnstable. He went to court. My father brought him. The judge denied him bail. Uh, Told him they're gonna bring him to Barnstable. They're gonna handle it. We're gonna take care of it. And my father objected, of course, because my brother started crying. He started shaking because he had PTSD from an experience that I'll get into, after. This is just a brief little thing here to know. So he got brought to Barnstable, where they were supposed to bring him to court the next day. And my father showed up at court. He waited. They never brought him. While he was waiting, what he didn't know is that Sean was threatening suicide if he didn't get brought to court, because he knew that if he didn't go to court that day, he was gonna be in jail for the weekend, and that's another 2
Right.
days talk. So he didn't want.
Right.
And he let him know that, and they didn't believe him, and he ended up jumping off the chair and broke his neck and went to a coma. He died a month later, and a month and a half later. So, and my parents basically just weren't given any information and just don't really know the system. Like a lot of people don't know. They
Right.
don't know. They trust that
Right.
the right thing is happening, but they don't know to check. You know what I mean? It's like, why would they think so? Um, so there's a lot of things going on in this jail with suicides and lawsuits, and they're like always a leader, if not the leader of suicides, and so they swept it under the rug. No articles, no news about it, no nothing. Just let it go, and now I come home from prison, and when I came home from prison, my family was just self-destructive. It was they kept me away from it while I was in prison, so I wasn't really ready to know what was going. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't.
So they blindsided you with it.
Yeah, well, yeah. In out of love, I would say. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Trying to protect me from the truth.
Yeah.
Like, or
Well,
from
you're probably in the sense that you're in there. They didn't probably want you
right,
to flip out, kill
mm,
somebody, get into a fight, get in lockdown, make your time harder. I understand.
yeah, like they, but I'm asking questions, and like I'm not really getting answers, and and I'm just trying to figure out like what like about the law you guys attack, like what are these people doing, and they're like, oh, now the other part of this is um like maybe a year before, Sean was on a run. He was running hard. He was, overdosing, and my parents were scared for him. They didn't want him to die. So in Massachusetts, there's a Section 35, which means you basically call the police. You say my or my brother or my whoever is a danger to himself. You know what I mean? He's an addict, blah blah blah, whatever. And the police come and arrest you. They put you in the holding cell, and you basically have a court case. You know what I mean? Where your parents or your brother or whoever your loved one says, this is what's going on, and we want him held, and you say, this is what's going on, and the judge says, all right, I'll make this decision. So, and in this, notoriously, you've been sent to a place called Bridgewater State Prison, which is a mental hospital. They have a sex offender prison. They have a medium security prison, minimum security prison. And it's been like, just one of those places that you hear about forever out here. It's a hard. They used to house the addicts with the inmates. My brother, first time he ever went there, he got his sneakers stolen by an inmate. By, you know what I mean, by a guy, like, he was subjected to prison at, like, without really supposed to be in prison. You know what I
Right.
mean?
He's
So
going for rehab, but yet still in a prison environment.
they have you in an open dorm with a CO. Kids, no medicine, no nothing. You puke, the COs are telling you clean it up. It's just, there's no, it's like it's a hidden secret. You know what I mean? Like what people go through in this place, because the other side of it is mass rehab, which is a mass run treatment. So basically, like, it's just a coin flip where you get sent, heaven or hell. You go to a nice place that you get a physician and you get the care that you need, and you get your medicine, and you get your comfort meds, and you get to talk to a counselor, and you get to, you get that, which you should have. Or you go to a prison and sit in a cell and get taught shit, get yelled at by COs, and wait 90 days and come home. You know what I mean?
Right.
So a lawsuit went in for women saying that this was not right, civil rights, blah blah. It's not right. So the women won, and they didn't let women go no more. But the men didn't get that same, like, for some reason it didn't go to men too. So they still were using it, but they moved it to Plymouth Plymouth Forestry, which Plymouth is a town, nice town, rich town. There's a jail there, and there's a D.O.C run minimum security jail there. So they got a big grant, and to turn this place into the new Section 35, and it was to be a treatment. You know what I mean? They're supposed to.
For those that
We're
don't
supposed
know what Section 35 is, explain to them what that is.
it's like I said, it's basically 90 days, 60 to 90 days of alcohol drug treatment, um and, like, you like I said, your it's forced rehab is basically what it is. You know what I
Forced
mean? It's
rehab.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, forced rehab, but you really can't, you're not supposed to be able to leave. You know what I mean? It's like
So
a
let me
mental,
ask
like,
you this: is this their solution? So when they're saying, when we the people are saying, why are these guys going to prison and not rehab? Is this what they call their solution to that? This forced rehab, so that you get a crime of addiction. They're forcing you into this rehab, which you've explained is prison.
it's yeah. I mean, if yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've it it's now become, after this has happened. There's a lawsuit right now my brother's involved in, and what happened is they gave him another grant, and they cleaned the place all up. You know what I mean? And they're trying to hide this, which goes into, like, what happened in this place when, with my brother, when he came into this place. It was new. They had just gotten it open. They said, like, they get a lot of money for it, and they sent a bunch of people there, and these kids that went there, they just they weren't ready to have them there yet. There was no there was no there was nobody there except COs. It was the same thing, just different place. You know what I mean? Same treatment plan, no medicine, no nothing, locked in a room. You know what I mean? Just a different, nicer place, I guess, if you could say nicer. And but there was no fence, so kids started running. Obviously
Right.
they're detoxing, they're not getting meds, they're not getting treatment.
Right.
Treatment. Talked to somebody who was there, and he said basically what they would do is once a week they'd let you go and watch a movie, maybe Flight, Denzel Washington, and a little addiction thrown in there, and that was their answer for you, and then go sit in the cell for 23 hours. You know what I mean? So that was their answer. That's what they said they were doing, and, like, but they made it out to be a whole completely different thing. Now, these kids are running. People start acting out because they're not getting no attention. Nobody's getting them any attention. Now kids are acting out because there's cons mixed into this there's convicts mixed into this who kind of know their rights. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
They bring the brass down. The kids tell these people, listen, we're not going into our cells unless you guys give us a phone call, right? So they bring all these people down, and what do you guys want? We want a phone call. We want to be able to talk to people about what, you know what I mean, what we're doing, what we're not doing, what you're not letting us do. So they said, all right, we'll give you guys your phone call. Um, we'll give you guys your phone call, just whatever. And they gave like 4 guys a phone call, and they got the kids back in their cell. And the other 4 kids, so when they basically what they did is they locked it, they pacified them, and then at like midnight they came in with like the SWAT team, like that, the
Cell extraction team, yeah.
IPS or the CERT or however you say it. They brought them in. They ripped about 12 guys out. They brought them back to Bridgewater, which they weren't supposed to do. Bridgewater wasn't supposed to be. You know what I mean? And they did this to, tell them basically, listen, like you guys don't have, shut up, basically. And these kids were put in turtle suits, which is like a one-piece, Johnny, half naked, basically naked because they all climbed out of them, you know what I mean? And then stuck in a sex offender unit where they have sex offenders looking at them and across the way. And they moved people out of their cells, single cells, to put these kids in there. So all these guys are pissed off, and it's just like it's a shit show.
Yeah.
And they're not kid showers. They're not giving them phone calls. They're not letting them out the cell at all. And they're ripping up grievances, and they're denying anything, and like they're violating a lot of civil rights. So people are getting mad. It became a situation again.
And this is at Bridgewater.
This is at Bridgewater. This was where was only these 12 kids. Now my brother got brought in about 2 weeks into it. These kids have been in there for like, I want to say like 2 weeks. There's an article on it. I'll say it at the end. But I want to say 2 weeks they were there. My brother came in, and I talked to a kid who was in there, and he said that my brother was hallucinating. He was clearly in extremely bad shape. You know what I mean? He needed a hospital. He needed medical attention. He hadn't eaten. He couldn't get. They tried to get him to eat some applesauce. He couldn't get a bite of applesauce down. He thought he was in. He thought it was World War II. He thought he was getting bombed. He thought he was gonna die. He thought. Then the next minute, he thought somebody was coming and picking him up. So like they realized, because when people come on, like it's almost like people come in the hole. Everybody's yelling, "Hey, what's going on? What's going on?" Because
Yeah.
they wanted to know. And Sean basically wasn't able. They realized that he wasn't in the right state of mind. So they told the cops, please get this kid some help. He needs some help. You know what I mean? And they said, all right, we'll get him after count.
And this was in solitary.
Solitary. Yeah, it was in the sex offender unit, and they used it as solitary. You know what I mean? They left lights on 24 hours a day. They didn't turn their lights off. They kept them. They turned it into solitary. Basically, they probably figured if we're gonna put them around any inmates, let's put them around. You know what I mean? The sex offender unit, probably the safest one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would say their idea. I don't know what they thought. I don't know their thinking on it. I mean, it's disgusting to me. But these people, there was actually a cop in the group, like a guy who had stolen evidence. He was an addict, you know what I mean? Got kicked off the thing. He's one of the people named in the lawsuits. He was in there banging doors, you know what I mean? Kicking down doors. Anyway, Sean gets taken out. They wheel him out. They bring him wherever they bring him, and people start asking where he is, and they're not saying anything, and they say something about he attacked a staff member. And like, don't worry about him, he'll be gone. He attacked a staff member. My brother, I can't see it. I'm sorry. I skipped a part. An important part is when they came to get my brother out of the cell, he was literally he was covered in his own bile from throwing up, his own urine, his own feces that was on the wall. It was clear that he was having a mental, you know what I mean?
Of course. Yeah.
That's not it's not like there was just a little thing. He was literally, he was going through it. So they they pulled they he got up because he was hallucinating. He walked towards the cop, and one of the guys pulled the taser on him, like he's gonna shoot him with the taser. You know what I mean? Like that. And the kids started yelling, I guess, and they put the taser away and ended up just kind of wrestling him around a little bit and getting him into a chair and bringing him to wherever they brought him. I don't know where they brought him. These kids don't know where they brought him because after this, my brother was never my brother. My brother came home from this. They, what ended up happening is a kid got word to people's parents by sending a note, rolling it up and tucking it, like to get it out because they weren't letting paperwork come out because they didn't want anybody writing any
Right.
documents. So somebody had to literally, sneak numbers out to get these kids in. And civil rights got called, and they moved them all back to Ponte. So when my brother came home, I was still doing time. I called, and my mother, you know, your brother's a little different, just bear with him. You know what I mean? He's a little different, blah blah, whatever. So I got on the phone with him, and like he just was a totally different person. It was just like I
Different
didn't
how?
recognize different is that I didn't even recognize the person I was talking to. He was,
Like different, like he would just in a didn't recognize you or distracted or
he knew who I was. He was, but the charisma, the happiness, the
he was
any
just
sort
dead
of
inside.
was just like up talking to somebody who was just like, and me, I had done a pretty long stint in the hole, so I kind of like told him like, listen, man, I know how it is, like, but I was, trying to be a tough guy or tell him like, listen, like you can get through this, like it's not that bad. But I didn't know what he went through. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
I didn't. Also, the first time I ever went to the hole, I was shaky. It's not a fun place. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like you adapt to it, which is a scary thing that your body can actually adapt to that. But like I kind of like told him like, like you'll be okay. Like, and he was like, it just basically, you know, just not himself. I couldn't get really much out of him. So when I came home, he was on a run. He was with this girl, and I didn't see him for like 2 weeks until after I got home. I couldn't get him to come because this girl he was with was like they had some problems. She didn't want him around the family, whatever. And he was like running pretty hard. He was in the middle of a big run. So I finally seen him, and when I saw him in person, it was really scary. That's when I really knew. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
when
yeah, yeah.
because there was things that I just didn't like, things that happened, things that he said, things that, and I never got the story out of him because I couldn't even get a real conversation out of him. You know what I mean? The girl he was with, described him in an interview as a walking tumor, which was a pretty disgusting statement. I don't know. She could have used a little nicer words, but that's how she described it. She's my she just he was constantly upset, you know what I mean? And he said that he was scared that he was gonna go back every morning. He woke up and he felt like he was gonna be back, you know what I mean? He was gonna be back. And that was his biggest fear, is going back. So he ended up getting clean, and he did pretty well. He went out to Western Mass, and one day like I say, he relapsed, and
Why did he what made him relapse?
I
What was
mean,
his situation?
he was living in a halfway house. I really can't say. I mean,
Just
addiction. I
pressure.
mean, it can be anything. You know what I mean? You walk
Yeah.
by, you see something. At this time again, I was locked up. You know what I mean? So I didn't see him. I didn't, but I know he was. I talked to him after he got bailed out, and he seemed like he was like a little better, like he was happy to not be in jail. I know that, you know what I mean, and he was like very grateful. He said he was never going on methadone again. He's gonna get off methadone. He's gonna go to a halfway house. He's gonna, and like I was, I felt good for him. I felt good about the situation. He was with my father, who, like I said, has 40 years sober, and I knew he was safe, and he was gonna get to a place he'd be all right. So he had court the next day, and excuse me, he was out on a $250 bail. So you figure, and he had already talked to his probation officer, and his probation officer said, just tell the judge to have you come here after, check in, and we'll go over the violation or whether I will violate you or whatever.
Mm.
So goes in front of the judge, and this judge, for some reason, decided that he wasn't the best idea to let him go with my father, and held him. And said, we'll bring him to court tomorrow to check him with probation. So my father, my brother immediately starts shaking, crying. I mean, it's PTSD kicks in, and they cuff him, and he just he realizes he's going back to that place. So my father stood up and asked the judge, please, there's a lot more to the situation than you know what I mean? And, let me bring him, let me explain it. Of course, the judge said something, I'll hold you in contempt or something, sir.
Told the father that.
Yeah, told my father that, yeah. If he, whatever he said. And my father said it was like, one of those, it's like small town, like, you know what I mean? He said he like had an eerie feeling the whole time, you know what I mean? Like it just was like it was just a real, he said the judge just, the guy wasn't hearing anything. And so he left, and he went home, and because he lives right down the street from the jail. Boston was in Bourne, where my father actually lives. So, and he drove to court the next day, and the lawyer was there. The lawyer told him he's coming. My father left his phone in the car because you're not supposed to have your phone in the court. He follows rules. He left the phone in the car, and he sat till 4:30, 5 o'clock, and they never brought Sean in the court. So he leaves, checks his phone. He sees like 40 missed calls from Sean, and he obviously can't call back. So he figures whatever, he doesn't know what's going on.
Right.
So what happened is, I learned from people that were in the block that he was yelling for help all day, telling the cops that if you guys don't bring me to court, I'm going to commit suicide. I'm going to kill myself. You and I know suicide is a strong word in jail, and it usually ends in 24 hours of being watched the whole time, you know what I mean? For your safety, you know what I mean? I've seen people be held the same.
I lost your sound.
Oh no, you lost the sound?
There you go. Okay.
So yeah, so he said he kept threatening suicide, and like I was saying, that usually in jail when you say suicide, they take that seriously. They have to. I've seen people get held saying it jokingly. You know what I mean? Jokingly saying it. They say, sorry, buddy, you gotta come. You know what I mean? So I don't know the names of the cops. They didn't. We don't have the reports. We don't have any paperwork. But whoever these cops were, didn't take it serious. And he also had cuts on his wrists, and they did the body, whatever. Like when they brought him to court, to the hospital, they found cuts on his wrist. So he was cutting his wrists, and while he was yelling for help, and
Yeah.
people were just,
Yeah, he was just going into a complete, psychotraumatic rage of some sort, because the way that you laid it out, of course. And this is, and I've seen that. If I've seen it once, I've seen it 1,000 times. When people realize that they're going to be in jail for the weekend, they start wigging out. I've seen people slam their head up against the bars. I've seen people. Okay, so quick story. On my arraignment, right? On my arraignment, it's three of us, and the individual that they let go in first was telling us, man, listen, I don't mean you guys no disrespect, but if this judge does not let me out, I'm shutting this courtroom down. This is what he's telling us. Now, we're all like in the van, like, man, don't even trip like that. Like, we're trying to go home too. You know what I mean? This and that, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, man, listen, I got to get home. This judge got to let me out, blah, blah, blah. So now they call this knucklehead first. This is fate, right? Fate, I'm telling you. They call this knucklehead first. We're all sitting in the chicken coop, is what we call it, is where in the arraignment bail, they'll take the jury box and cover it with chicken wire and glass, whatever. And this is where all your arraigntees go in to sit down to get an arraignment from the judge, right? So we're all sitting in there and we're cuffed in this. They call this fool up there, right? This fool goes up to the podium. He's handcuffed to the, through his back or whatnot. And he looks up at the judge and he says, Your Honor, if I don't get bail today, blood is going to be shed in this courtroom, right? We're all over here like this crazy mother, right? So the judge looked at him and said, well, son, you just do what you have to do because you're definitely not getting no bail. Man, this man reared back and came forward and slammed his head on that podium so hard, right? Like his whole forehead just split wide open. You know what I mean? Of course, the bailiffs go over, tackle him, shut it down. We all get transferred back, and now we're all in there for the weekend. But I don't even know how to describe the animal behavior that we allow ourselves to slip into for fear of being in that county jail for the weekend.
All right, especially when you detox. You know what I mean? Especially when like, because I my first time going to county jail, I was detoxing. I remember sitting in that cell thinking, like, that was probably one of the only times I really was thinking I I would commit suicide. I remember asking myself, like, if I jumped off this top bunk, you think I would die? You know what I mean? Because it was, I was so sick. I was so it was, and to be in that situation and to like, I remember asking a cop at like 4 in the morning because my stomach was like eating away at it. So if I bang on the door, he stopped. I said, "CO, can I just get some bread or something? Like, I can't. My stomach, I'm in pain." And he laughed at me and said, "You shouldn't do drugs." You know what I mean? And like at that moment, I realized, like, whoa, this isn't real. You know what I mean? This is not the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
This
no
is
understanding, no empathy, and it's, you
so.
know.
It
But
was.
before we wrap this up, Ryan, let me ask you, like, how bad is the drug situation up in Massachusetts in that area?
It's it's horrible. It's got nothing but worse. And right now, my brother's living on what they call Mass Ave in Boston, which is basically an open air drug market where it's a part of the city where like they just basically let everybody go and do their thing, and a lot of homeless addicts live out there. Like, my brother's been out there homeless 2 years running, and it's like it's it's flooded. It's just I've lost more friends in the past what, 7 years, 8 years since it's been really bad than I could even count. During my sentence, I lost more people, just friends, people leaving, people. It's bad out here, man.
And when you
It's a
say
lot of
lose, when you say that you've lost friends, what does that mean? Overdose.
overdose. And the fentanyl, the pills that are being pressed with fentanyl, the the whole the whole thing. I mean, and it's scary. It's just a scary drug. It's a new world. It's a
I
new
did
drug. It's,
I did a show with a couple shows with a dude up there by the name of Corey Cheney. doing his own
Mhm.
thing or whatnot. But we talked about methadone mile. Is that what same
Yep,
thing?
that's where he is. Yeah, it's. I was in a halfway house right there. I used to walk out of my halfway house, take a left. You literally can't walk anywhere without
They have a
tripping
halfway
over.
house. They have a halfway house near methadone mile.
On in the heart of it, you're smoking cigarettes and guys are walking up asking you for cigarettes from the. I'm telling you, I walked down the corner, dudes are shooting up right there, right in front of you. Like it's open air. The cops don't do nothing. They just let it ride until it gets to like one time a CO got beat up driving down there because talking to some like and they dragged him off the car and then they shut it down. Then they'll run down there and bust everybody up and whatever. But like as long as they're not bothering anybody except just killing themselves, it's scary, man. That place, I'll tell you,
So
I
so an individual that is coming home from prison, going to a halfway house to try to re-enter successfully into society, is going to a halfway house that's in the heart of methadone clinic, methadone
yeah,
mile. When he walks
yeah.
out of his front door, people are just sitting there shooting up and all kinds of stuff.
That's where I had to go when I went out, and I ended up back in jail in 4 months off from using
I'm
selling drugs.
curious. I'm curious to how much money that halfway house is getting.
Yeah, because they take federal inmates, they take, you know what I mean, they take everybody. So it's a trust me, it's a business. It's a big business, and
What's
the
the
ones
name of
that
that?
work with
What's
the
the
jail,
name of that halfway house? Do you know?
there's plenty of them, but that one's the Hope House. That one's
The Hope House.
the Flow House is on it too, but the Hope House is like, I mean, it's in the heart of it. I was smoking a cigarette one time, and I look, there's across the street, there's a factory that has ice, the ice machines they keep outside convenience stores. The whole you can grab your ice out.
Yeah.
Lola, I'm looking and I see one open, and people just climb out of it. These addicts are climbing out of it.
Out of the
Three
ice
addicts
machine.
slept in there. They were sleeping in there. They sleep in the ice machine. And they climbed. It was like a clown car. I couldn't even believe how many they had in there. I was watching this. I was blown away. You know what I mean? And we used to have guys coming up to us. Hey, like they go boost for us. You know what I mean? Or hey, what do you want? Come back to the halfway house. Like the people working there would have to like back the kids away. You know what I mean? Because he was so close. But yeah, it's a bad. That's what I got sucked into and went right back. You know what I mean? It wasn't a place for me. I don't know a lot of people that I don't know what their success rate is, but it didn't work for me. I know that. But
Mm.
but you also want to say too about with this Sean with what they're doing to us right now is they're denying us to take this course. So I found out I've been digging into this pretty hard lately, like calling reporters and calling all these people and trying to figure out because I looked through a bunch of articles and my brother's name's not mentioned in any of the articles. They list all the suicides and Sean's not there. So I'm like, why is Sean not here? Why are they not talking about Sean? Why is, and so I made a call to the sheriff and she told me that they never what they basically did is they never made a they never listed it as a death. They left it as a slip and fall. They said it was a slip and fall or an accidental fall, and because Sean was in a coma for so long, because my parents didn't want to pull the plug for so long, it ended up being, in jail. Things go on, things move on. You know what I mean? And they had a lawsuit against them. Right now, they have a huge lawsuit against them for another girl who killed herself in that jail. She wrote a grievance saying she was depressed and she really needed help, and it never got answered, and she ended up killing herself. And they have a lawsuit for her right now. 3 inmates tried to commit suicide in August. 2 successfully did. Still a big problem. And I so what they did is they said Sean fell, and they never went back and revisited it. They just left it open like that. And what the sheriff told me is it's mandatory after a death in a prison, a suicide especially, that they do a state police investigation. So there was never a state police investigation. It's never been. They never looked into it. Nothing's ever been looked into it. So I'm trying to get caught into a civil case to at least get an investigation. And because there's a law that if you don't file within 3 years, that you can't file anymore. You know what I mean? Like they expect a, whatever they, however they say the word, but you have 3 years, and if it passes in 3 years, there's nothing you can do. But I'm trying to fight for to get this investigation put in to try to
Well,
see.
you have individuals that were in the jail, right? Like you so
I,
okay, so
people that,
you need to get affidavits from them.
yeah, that's they said they write them. I got people, but the problem is nobody nobody's listening. Nobody here. Everybody I call, every lawyer I call, they scared, man. They're scared of the system.
Well,
Scared of the,
what we got to do is get some affidavits, and when you get them to write it down, of course you have to get it notarized, make it all legit, things of that nature, and then you just start contacting your local news stations, right? If your local news stations aren't willing to help you, these action news, things like that, then you call a representative, a senator, things of that nature. Like I said, I have a couple organizations that are very good organizations. One is Cynthia Goldberg and the F8 Foundation, who she don't play no games. So these are the type of individuals who know powerful people and can have things looked at. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's what I'm running for right now. That's the goal right now. Is just I'm not. I just want to recognize. I just want it known. I feel like it's like these people get away with so much. I mean,
Hmm.
they get away with so much. It's just they're never held accountable for any action. You chose to take my brother, hold him, told us that you would bring him for his safety. You know what I mean? And they don't make a call to court. You know how it is. When they don't bring you to court, it's just the cop says you're not on the list. You know what I mean? That's all there is to it. You're not on the list.
Well,
And
Ryan, bless you, partner, for being your brother's keeper, man. Because it sounds like you're the only one that's not letting this man die in vain. You know what I mean?
yeah, I
A-
mean,
a-
one day it will get heard.
yeah, bless you for that, partner, and I'll help you any way that I can. And I'm
Appreciate
sorry that I'm sorry that this is your fight. You know.
it. Yeah, nah. I mean, it's one of those things that no, it's not like no, it won't be right away, but I feel like karma's there and things that when people eventually, if you say it enough, they'll listen. They gotta listen. Somebody has to listen.
Well, and that's why I want
People,
to get you tied to some good people, man, because I know it can be discouraging. If you go to 20 people and you're telling this story to 20 people and then none of them show any interest, a person can get discouraged. You know what I mean? So I definitely want to tie you to people that can definitely keep you encouraged to fight for your brother and get this word out and hopefully create change and maybe even get a nonprofit started in his name up there dealing with
yeah,
this.
yeah, absolutely, man. I see what you're doing, and I know a few guys out here that got out with the juvenile life of parole, and they're doing a lot of like work. So I'm definitely talking to people. Yeah, I appreciate it. Like I said, it's awesome to have this platform for people to come on and let people know because there's not a lot of people that that come home and expose it. You know what I mean? And just really fight for it because it's a
Amen.
problem.
Amen, man. Brother, you said a mouthful there. There's not many that come home and fight for us like this. They come home, they create these convict channels and they talk about men stabbing men and men raping men and all they care about is these likes and subscribes and they do nothing to try to help tear down this crap. They're just exploiting it for their own good, you know.
They glorify their, they glorify what they're doing in there. They try to turn it into.
And you know, and 9 times, like you're a real cat. I could see that, and I could tell that. You know what I'm saying? You stood your ground inside, right? So you're gonna know exactly what it is that I'm talking about. But 9 out of 10 of these dudes that come home and create these channels like that were never even in the mix. These are the dudes that are watching from their cells. When shit goes down, they'll run to their cell and watch out the window. And then they'll, you know, when they go to the next compound, they'll tell their stories like, man, I was out here swinging, doing all this. And then you'll get a kite from somebody because we're always gonna check. Be like, oh yeah, I heard about that, man. Let me check up on you. You send a kite over there, the kite comes back. Nah, man, that dude ran to his cell. You know what I'm saying? But then they come out here talking all this macho stuff, and these people buy it up. They love it. I lost your sound.
They want people to think you got a back. Hold on. Get it back.
Yeah,
There.
yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, nah, I know what you're saying, and I know people, instead of talking about all the civil rights violate, all the negative things you see in there, and all the horrible just injustices, they want to glorify what they did and use it as like a badge. When, like you said, 9 times out of 10, those guys were the ones that, you know, if the fight broke out, like you said, they were nowhere near it. They weren't around in there. I just had a conversation with a kid the other day because he was, you know, he was posting all these memes and about all these prisons things and all this, and the kid was, he pulled a stunt at the end of his stint, his prison stint. Like, he ran from a kid and hid in his block for like 2 months and ended up checking off and doing a lot of like bad, you know, just
Yeah,
a lot of
junkie
negative.
stunts.
Yeah, and he's out there, you know, talking about all these things he was doing up there and all these, you know, and it's like, buddy, just come on, man, tell the truth. Like, just, if you want to expose anything, expose the gods that are doing these horrible things and all this, you know, all this bullshit. Stop talking about the things, because prison's not the same anymore. It's not like what people think, you know what I mean? It's
It's a
not the same. It's
cesspool. It's a
cesspool.
cesspool. That's what it
It's
is
not
now, man.
horrible, man. So yeah, so man, I appreciate it, and yeah, like, I have I'll post some of the articles if anybody wants to see the articles, and I'm just trying to start like just like a tag, hashtag, anything to get, like, you know, just get the voice, something out there. I'm kind of at a stagnant point right now. I'm kind of like it's been a rough holiday, a rough fight here, and like I said, I'm getting shot down left and right, and like, so I'm at a point where, you know, hopefully somebody just can get me in front of get the family in front of a judge to talk to somebody to get to get an investigation. I'd just like to know who these COs were and why they ignored this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, no question. Absolutely. You know, absolutely no question.
Don't
And
send my brother
we'll
today.
do
He's
that, man.
not.
We'll, huh?
I said, if they don't send my brother to jail that day, he's not dead today. I mean, if well, maybe another way, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, that every decision they made resulted in his death. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no question, man. We'll start. We'll link up. You know, link up on the side and see about getting you know, a Facebook page at least started in his name. Start getting drawn
Yeah.
traffic there for the listener. This is Ryan Wallace, Wallace. That's how you can find him on Facebook. And then of course in the descriptions I'll put the link and stuff in there too. But
Yeah, we're in the this is just the beginning. This should be. We'll fight this for as long as we can, and then, like I said again, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you having the platform for people to expose it, man. Keep doing what you're doing, brother, and I appreciate the help. Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk to you soon. All right,
absolutely, man. I appreciate you coming on the show and blessing the show with your story, partner.
man. Thank you, brother. Have a great day. Have a great night, everybody. Stay blessed. Stay aware of your surroundings and what's going on.
Stay safe, partner. We out.
True.
So everybody, again, you can visit uh, Ryan Wallace on Facebook with any questions that you have, and we'll try to get him set up and try to bring awareness, because I can see that he's getting discouraged in this fight, and it's very discouraging, especially when you don't have the proper knowledge to really know how to reach people, So this is where we come in. This is where our brotherhood comes in. This is where unity comes in. This is where, again, all my messages of us looking out for one another and doing the right thing, coming together and making sure that all voices are heard and that none of our brothers or sisters are forgotten who are losing their lives inside of this prison industrial system. So that's all I have for you guys. I want to apologize for my intro because I was talking to Ryan for 20 minutes prior, right before we went into it. And I'm just amazed. I'm just amazed at what we got going on in our cities. And it's almost like these county officials are so overburdened. They have no knowledge of how to fix the situation. So they're just dumping it on somebody else's desk to fix. And the pardon my French for lack of a better word, but the shit is just being piled up from desk to desk to desk, and it's being dumped into our prison industrial system and these resource systems, and they have no idea what to do. It's just a big clown show, a big cluster that people really just don't know what to do, man. So again, and this is what is starting to go on here in the Tampa Bay area. We're just starting this. Our recidivism is going up. This is the third highest county in the state, or maybe even the highest county in the state. I believe this is the highest county in the state, if my memory serves. My memory has been going bad, so you guys have to forgive me for that. I'm horrible with names, so me trying to remember a name is horrible. I have to get better at that, especially when it comes to my own organization's project. So it's Project Start Fresh. Again, please visit www.cominghomecoalition.com. Go to the fundraisers page, look for Project Start Fresh, and we have an ongoing raffle there that you can join in and win baseball tickets on this raffle here. We got other raffles going in. Again, the co-founder has been doing an awesome job. Awesome job. I have to start showing more appreciation. I know she's mad at me because my mind slipped in the morning, but that's just me. What can I say, guys? I mean, I'm overburdened. I got a lot of things going on, man. I got a million things going on in my life. And at the end of the day, like I say, at the end of the day, I'm a returning citizen myself. I'm a returning citizen myself, and I'm struggling to survive and get my footing in and secure my future. Secure my future so I don't have to worry about being homeless. I'm not too far from it now. So I got a lot of pressures, man, a lot of stress. Everybody does. There's no excuse. So we just get up and we keep pushing, we keep moving, and we keep doing it, and we just keep striving the things that we believe in and pray that everything is going to be all right. At the end of the day, we all pray that truth will always override a lie, that good will always override evil, and we just try to maintain in that and keep it going. Like I say, keep it pushing, pimping. So everybody, please forgive me. Please. I'm begging for your forgiveness. And I will what's today? Saturday. I don't even know what day it is. Saturday night cell block. Okay, so I will be back maybe Tuesday. I don't know what's going on Tuesday night with my Black versus White, but definitely Thursday night with Demetrius Knucklezel, and Thursday night Get Right. And that's it, man. I pray everybody is safe, sound, and that you're warm, and you're just doing what you can to survive. So until the next time, this is Thomas Freeme. At the end of the day, man, I love you guys. Plain and simple. And if you haven't heard it yet today, you can hear it from me right now. I give you guys a big hug. It's Thomas Freeme, man. Stay safe. I'm out.